Thanks for coming today. We know that's the last session before the lunch, so we have to hurry up. Okay, basically today we are going to show you a story how to build a modern incident management process in a fast-paced world of online media. My name is Marcin Lepiarczyk, and I am IT manager, and I am leading service operation and quality processes team. So basically, I am responsible for incident management process in a whole company. With me is Piotr Kruk.
I'm software developer and PaaS team in our cloud department, and my work is focused on, in one word to say, automate everything, automate our cloud, and also include monitoring. So I bring the perspective how to deliver the platform and monitoring platform to our cloud and what we learn from that. Also.
As you can see, we have different perspective because I am a manager, I am on the light side of the force. Piotr, he's on the dark side of the force. He's DevOps. So let's try how it works. Okay, we are from DreamLab. DreamLab is an IT hub of Springer Group. Springer is the leading digital media publishing in Central and Eastern Europe. Our publishing platform, Ring Publishing, is heavily used in 9 countries in 2 continents. We have 30 million users. Among our core brands, you can find onet.pl, which is the largest portal in Poland, fact.pl, which is the biggest Polish daily, and you can find also Sympatia, which is the best dating product in Poland, and also we have many international brands like Forbes, Newsweek, Business Insider. But what stands behind that? We, as a DreamLab, are in 3 cities. We have many engineers. We use different infrastructures. We are migrating to AWS. We have many deployments per day and many applications. At that scale, incidents are not avoidable. So during the incidents, we are just burning money. Because, you know, when the incident occurs, our users go to our competitors, and they can stay with them. So it's very important to restore our services as quickly as possible. And basically, this is the reason why incident management process is. Okay, let's get back 2 years ago. How it worked? Let's imagine a product. The product could be, for example, onet.pl, our biggest portal. And we had an incident. This incident is monitoring in many different monitoring tools, because we used to have Grafana, we used to have Zabbix, we used to have Nagios, and of course we have our own monitoring system. The events were passed through our central monitoring console. We call it Houston. And when the alarms occurs, the red buttons are lighting. In this Houston, we can find our first line ops team. These guys are responsible for many admin tasks, but also they have to monitor our portal. So when incident occurs, they call to dev team, of course manually. We also have to inform our business, so they have to contact different team, and they inform our business that we have had an incident. Okay, so you are a guy working in our Houston, and you can see there are many TVs there. At the top, you can find our monitoring. As you can see, they were green and red buttons, and you as the ops working at night see that half of these alarms are red. Who should you call to? Of course, we had a lot of procedures. Our alarms were described, but you know, if there is a big outage, you don't know. Also, our monitoring loop was very long because our alarms was not actionable, especially during the night, and we have a problem with human factor. Let's say about this night escalations, because when our alerts are not actionable, these guys don't want to wake up their colleagues because they know that this alarm only a backup, so you don't have to wake anybody. So sometimes they forget to call, and we have a real problem because this is human factor. So why we want to change our process? The first thing is complicated and inefficient monitoring process. We struggle with manual escalations, and during that time we had very high incident management KPIs. We are not very proud of that. And our ops team role needs to change because these people want to develop their skills not only as a telephonist, but they want to be real high-skilled professionals. And they work 24 hours per day, so it's hard, very hard. And in the end of the day, only 50% of our IT platform's uptime was delivered. Of course, it not affected our products at that scale, but we are not very proud of that. Our SLAs was very high, so we have to change. Let's get back to our process. The first thing we decide, we have to change our monitoring process. The second thing is that we have to automate this part of the process, so we want to use automated escalations. We decided to build a new monitoring as a service process and a product. The second thing is we decided to buy automated escalation tool commercially available on the market. And as you can see, the alarms are passed through the dev team, and the dev team become responsible for the alerting process. So it's a huge change, and it simplified the process, but I show you a theory. It looks simple, but Piotr will show you how it works in a real life.
Okay, so let's bring the dark side. First of all, we decide that we build monitoring as a service. And first of all, why we choose it? Well, we had a hybrid cloud environment in which we are living for 10 years, and in this world, software defines everything. And now we had our own data center, and also we are starting migrating to AWS. But well, that's how looks private cloud to our developers and engineers day by day. So you can choose your services like infrastructure, database, storage, etc., etc. So it's quite natural for us that we thinking, okay, so we add another service, which we call it monitoring. It's fully scalable and automated in the backbone. And how we imagine that our developer will use it? Well, I am a software engineer, so I decided to automate my presentation now. But my presentation is not only the code, unfortunately, or fortunately. It's a factor of few dimensions. Only a few is highlighted on this slide. It's of course the code, it's documentation, it's tests, it's the budget. Behind every app is always the money. And the second thing is security. And the most important topic today is monitoring. Because I would like to know when I make mistake in my application. I want to respond to this. I want to provide a good quality to this application, to this presentation. So well, let's assume that our automation of presentation, we want to add to monitoring. So I don't like to configure any external system, provide any other configuration to my application that I need to maintain, log into other platform. I would like to use it like other cloud services we had. I would like to import a library for monitoring and create the metrics. So I decide that I will create a metric for number of slides because I want to know if my presentation go to this untouched, that all slides are, I had all slides, and of course number of failures during my presentation. Because for now, my indicator of my uptime today is your attention level. If you're listening to me or not, or I'm boring you, if I start boring you, I should change something in my behavior. So I should show you animation, tell the joke, restore this uptime, yes? So basically, code is the code, but I'm a software engineer. I'm also the human. So I want to display this on some dashboard. This is a Grafana dashboard. And let's assume that I have my number of slides, time spent on the slide is okay. Of course, my attention level. The higher is my code quality. And of course, actionable metrics is number of my failures. If I made them a lot of during my presentation, you will lose attention. You don't want to run this code anymore. You don't want to listen to me anymore. So let's assume that is actionable metrics for which I would like to create alerting. For our developers, to our Grafana dashboard, we just add another panel, which is called alerting. In here, you need to attach a documentation. It's a must. Of course, thresholds. So let's assume that when I had three failures during my presentation, I should get notification on my phone, and I should change something before it's going very, very bad. So, in behind of that, we send a notification to our corporate automate escalation tool. That will go to my phone. It will display something like that, with the link to documentation, with the diagram, with chart, all extra information that is needed. So when I get notification on my phone, I know how bad it is. Sometimes my charts show me how bad it is. So it's quite useful. But that is not the end. We also add the alerting dashboard for our developers and engineers. So you can see all your errors in one places, and it's quite interesting because it's mostly used when you have huge risky development, your deployment, and you want to see how much impact you had. So for example, my team deployed a monitoring platform, and when it stopped working, we had other applications which monitor our monitoring, which is quite funny and interesting. And we see all errors should blinking and lighting up on our dashboard. So for example, when we make a mistake in the monitoring platform, it's not usable, everything is lighting up. But this part I told a software engineer who used this solution for almost last 2 years. But I want to tell you more about platform perspective. Because I work in the team who create this solution, and we migrate whole company to this solution from different monitoring solution and without ops team. So I want to show you what we learned during this migration, and that is quite important. First of all, that is our metric. We have our metric key, which identify our customer, so the team. And we have the servers. Some servers are identified by identities on the regex wildcard, number on disk, and the metrics for the disk. Well, it's quite surprising that we find out during our migration that we had 3 million metrics per second, or sorry, per minute, 3 million metrics per minute that are going through our system. So we are flooded by the metrics. We find out that, for example, for the disk, we have 20 to 30 metrics per disk. Multiply this by number of the disk in the server, multiply also by number of the servers, and you get tons of metrics. And also, we find out that only few of them are actively used. So assumption is very simple. Our engineers want to monitor everything. And I guess only summary is only one sentence. Less is more. Monitoring costs. And when you create some metrics because you're thinking that it's quite usable and you are not using it at all, why you create it? And now we have 2 million metrics per minute. So we cut off a lot of metrics during this time. And also, I think the biggest factor is which metrics are usable. That metrics that are actionable, that give you the output, which help you solve the incidents. Monitoring is a real-time platform which should help you solve the problems and to recognize your impact. That's the most important part. And that is a perfect example of our actionable metrics. That shows number of errors per disk. If there are too many, you should replace the disk because you will get problems. So you will get high latency on the clusters. But well, in the same client, on the same dashboard, really close to this chart, we also find this. I don't know how this helped to solve the problems and to find a solution. I had a little chat with my colleague who created this dashboard and who created this metric, and asked him, that really helps solve your incident during the outage? He said, no, I'm using this only for analyzing some performance issue on my cluster, that is metric of low latency of the disk. I want to analyze how I can optimize my cluster and find the problems. And it's quite hard debugging. And that is the most important part. Monitoring is not analytics. Monitoring is a real-time platform. And the second question that I asked my colleague is like, do you need this data in real time? No. So if you have non-real-time data that you want to use to debug your problem, to optimize your system, and you find a mistake, use one of our analytic platform or one of our big data platform, like, for example, this one. That is our big data platform for analyzing HTTP logs. So if you want to find out number of errors from direct country like Poland, from browser like Firefox, version of this browser, and play with many dimensions like you want, that is a better tool for you than struggling and spending hours on Grafana and find out which function I should use and how to do this in Grafana. It's much more useful for you. And the third, the more painful, like we hear on the first talk today, is like instant alerting bring reliability. And why is that? Because there is no ops team at now. And that's quite painful at the beginning for some teams. And why is that? Because what happens in the ops team stays in the ops team. They're not informing the team about the flapping alarm. When they are informing the developers saying, okay, they are flapping and what, I'm ignoring it. And now, they're waking up. They're waking up. At the beginning, we hear that some dogs are barking on the phone. The wife is very angry. But well, that's your system, your responsibility. And from my perspective, when I'm waking up 2 nights in the night, 2 nights in a row, and I need to restart the Zabbix or the MySQL, on the third of the night, I will create the automation or kill this bug. It's because I like to sleep. And that's bring a lot of change. I would like to talk on the next slide, because we get a lot of developer feedback. And first of all, full responsibility brings supplyly to automation. We start to automate everything, and that brings a lot of automation in every corner of the company, because people start thinking about how I should automate my job. That's the first step. Second thing was like thinking globally. After the migration, a lot of our analytics platforms come to life because the people find out that it's better to use analytic platform. And that brings also quality and bigger quality, because now you are thinking twice when you deploy. That will wake me up in the night, that is tested, that is bulletproof, that everything is okay. And the third, but the last, if you want to have high availability of your system, you need automation, because human factor is also very important. Humans are too slow to respond to the incident, because you need to go to your phone, check your phone, understand the incident, go to your computer, log in, and that takes a lot of time. That's why automation is very important. And that's brings me to Marcin. What do you think about it from process perspective?
Of course, we have many successes. For example, our mean time to acknowledge, which is the time when developer is on call and can fix something, now is about 20 minutes. Before this migration, we can't even measure it. It was hard. And now it's very good time. Developers have their own metrics, their own dashboards, and they can improve that time. So this is a responsibility for the team to improve that. And it really works. The second thing is that we have one global, simple monitoring process. Piotr showed you how to use it. It's very simple, so new joiners can use it, and it's simple and it's scalable. We also improve our IT platforms uptime. Now, 95% of this IT platform deliver our uptime, which is very, very high. So it's a great improvement. And the last but not least, I'm very proud of the new ops team role, because now we don't have first line ops team. These guys now works in different departments, and they can do the job they love, because they are in a product teams, and they don't have to even more calling by night to their colleagues. So we have true DevOps culture now. So what have we learned from process perspective? You know that curve? It's emotional change curve. It's very important when you change something to deal with that and be aware of that process, because that exists. So during this curve, you have to treat people and talk to them very good, because during this process we learned that without this DevOps culture we couldn't even implement that change. So this is very important. Because of that, we couldn't do this. Also very important is why communication. So why are you going to change that process? Few slides before I showed you our whys, and we heavily communicated this why to our employees, to our product owners, and to our Scrum Masters and to our management. Why? Because we have to engage people in that process. Without engaging people in that process, this change wouldn't succeed. And from business perspective, it is also very important to measure business metrics. During the whole process of change, we measured our business metrics, for example, our uptime. And we know how to work. So probably you are wondering, where are we at that curve? We are in the end, because it took us 2 years to achieve that, and we are very proud to be here. So we did it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions. All right, first one. Isn't that the first goal of incident management is to identify the occurrence of the incident?
The main goal of incident management process is to restore the service as quickly as possible. But you are talking about how often this incident occurs?
This is not my question, so it's hard to say. Maybe the author is here.
Because as far as I understood, this is more about problem management. So problem management process is responsible for analyzing that data that we have occurring incidents. The root cause is the same, and nobody works on that.
Okay, I think the author put a bump and left. So, okay, next one. Why did you decide to write own libraries from MaaS? What is the value added over using Graphite or Prometheus drivers directly and adding alerts on the metrics?
Well, we had other services like working like this before. We have libraries, and also MaaS is like monitoring as a service. It's like implementation, because we have also SDK per every language in our cloud, the software development kit, and that is sample for our Python. And well, we had previously other solution with the configuration of our alerts, also with the pattern matters, so like grabbing all logs for application, but it's not performing very well. And now we are choosing like sending the request to our RPC endpoint, and it's working better. Sometimes some situation happens like we are flooded by one client, but we are under firewall, so we're limiting it. I don't know if I answered this question. But
yeah, that was anonymous, so we don't need to care really. So the last one, also anonymous. What kind of backend database do you use for storing your metrics? How do you scale this database? Automatically, manually?
We have database team which support us with providing Cassandra for data points. We had the Postgres for storing the schema and all the logic in here. And now, also we're using the Elastic in the backend. And I think that's all I can say.
All right. Thank you, guys. That was interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.